Okay. Sorry, guys. Budget Guns and Gear here. Let us know that our microphone was not working. So yeah.
Back to that like last one.
Yeah, I think we are going to go back to that last one. Let me check this out again. So backing up a little bit, let me get rid of our mugs here. Real quick to recap, there's after 3 murders, Pierce Township to consider a resolution naming apartments a public nuisance. After 3 murders in a year on the Green Royal Oak Apartments in Pierce Township, Township trustees are now considering declaring the complex a public nuisance. The resolution drafted by Township officials includes a 15-point plan to improve living conditions. And where we're going with this is, if anybody has followed the Flint Police Department issue, there has been a liquor store / grocery store up there for a long time that they have actually shut down. And the thing is, the township declared it a public nuisance because of crime in the area, and they essentially locked this store, like they're talking about here. Now, I don't know if they're talking about tearing down this apartment complex or what they're wanting to do, but it just doesn't set well with a lot of people when somebody would, especially a local government, would declare something a public nuisance. And like we were just saying, it goes back to that see something, say something mentality that we have to do as law-abiding people in our communities. I mean, if we see crime, then we need to say something about it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, people won't, they won't say anything to when, law enforcement responds, they won't say anything to them. So their investigations go nowhere and they can't root out the problems. Cause, it sounds like the biggest issue they're having at the whole complex is probably a drug problem. So,
yeah. Well, not to mention the fact that, if nobody says anything, then they can't arrest anybody because they don't know who did it,
Right.
And the fact that, we've heard time and time again from law enforcement that they'll arrest someone, and before they get back to the office, they're out on the street again. So, there's no consequences for them.
Right.
And it's only getting worse with bills that are before our legislature in Ohio and other states around the country. So,
right.
And clear up to the federal level.
Yeah. So, we just, if you're seeing some type of criminal activity in your area, then, say something about it.
Yeah.
Do something about it. So let's take a look at our next article here. So we got a article from News 5 Cleveland. An employee shoots and kills an armed man in a mask attempting to rob a beauty store. Akron Police Department investigating a robbery homicide that occurred Friday evening at a business on Arlington Street. I know where this is at.
Yeah, I know where that plaza's at.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to work right down the street from here. What I want to say first off, if we look at what we had last week, where the whole theme of what we were trying to get at was carry your gun. Here we got somebody who has carried a gun. 7 p.m. officers responded to a shooting in the 900 block of Arlington Street. On the scene, officers learned that 2 employees were working inside the Royal Beauty supply store when 2 masked men entered the store with guns and attempted to rob them, according to police. During the attempted robbery, one of the employees pulled out his gun and shot one of the masked men, killing him. The second masked man then fled the scene. Police do not have detailed description of the second masked man. The incident is under investigation. So, I would bet that the description includes he's wearing a mask.
Yeah, I would think.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
I would bet his race or nationality is undetermined.
Yeah,
Probably.
because he's wearing a mask.
Right? Yeah, so last week we talked about 5, 6, 7 articles where somebody could have done something against an armed intruder or, an attacker, and
If they'd had a gun.
if they'd had a firearm.
Right.
And I didn't specifically go out and search this article up. It just it came through on my social media feed. So I thought, man, last week we talked about that, and this week maybe we should.
It looks like what it looks like is the circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller around even this little town of Minerva where we are, and where stuff like this is going on, it's getting routine,
right?
So
on with that theme here, we have Mingo Junction has just voted to allow concealed carry firearms on school property. The resolution passed a unanimous 5-0 vote on Tuesday evening. A quote from these guys, and this comes from 4NBC.com. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to be discussing alternatives like this. We wouldn't have to be discussing ways of putting down a murder in our schools, but in recent history has shown us that what's happening in our world, and there's no sign of it going to stop. Edison Local is another school district in the Ohio Valley that previously passed a resolution. Staff that choose to carry a concealed weapon on school premises must complete training monthly and recertify on a yearly basis. Dr. Starkey has improved response time. Says improved response time is the reasoning behind Ohio allowing schools to arm teachers. And I don't think they're talking about police response time here. I think they're talking about the armed staff response time.
Initial response time period.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I know Mingo Junction isn't close to any major population centers, so I don't think they're close to any real police presence either. So I'm sure they're thinking about response time with law enforcement in that.
I don't know. Corey, do you know where Mingo Junction's at?
I'm not real sure where Mingo Junction's at, but I do know that an armed staff is going to have a much faster response time than police, regardless of how close the school is to a police station.
Sure, right. You figure it's 20 minutes before cops get to this way. Even we're a block away from the cops. If we call 911, it's going to be at least 15 minutes before they show up here a block away.
Yeah.
By the time it gets through the phone system and everything. So
yeah, so there's response time there that it's crucial.
yeah,
Absolutely, it's crucial.
A lot of lives can be saved.
Yeah,
in 2-3 minutes. It doesn't take
absolutely.
And it sounds. I mean, they're making them go through training. They're going.
I would like to know what do they mean by yearly requalification and whatnot like that. I'd like to see what that school's policy is on there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to.
I think it's a state certified course they have to take.
Not necessarily from what I understand, but we'll get educated on that here shortly.
Okay, so on that note, Mingo Junction is just south of Steubenville, looks like.
Right.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
It's right on the river, yep.
Yeah.
So it's probably a pretty rural area.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Probably old mining town.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I know Ryan's familiar with that area.
Yeah, I think he runs routes down in that area.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
So Mansfield, this is Cleveland19news.com. This article is kind of odd, I would say. But a man shot dead by Mansfield police after charging at officers with a sword. That's the quintessentially brought a knife to a gunfight.
Literally, actually.
So, Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Mansfield that turned deadly. According to Mansfield, police officers responded to a Poplar Street apartment complex just before 6 a.m. on Wednesday after reports that her neighbor was peeping through a window that he broke into. Caller told 911 dispatchers that the man, later identified as 40-year-old McDuff Robinson, wow, that's, was continuing to make a disturbance outside after he broke the window. Somebody broke my upper unit window and was looking in my windows. It was 5:46 a.m. Wednesday, and the caller was awakened by her windows being smashed. The remnants of the apparent rampage littered the balcony where the shooting occurred hours later, including an empty whiskey bottle. No conclusions have been made, but 19 News got excellent views of the work BCI was doing, and the investigation was complex. As they approached the scene, responding officers learned from neighbors that McDuff Robinson had a sword. This guy's still outside her apartment. He's got no shirt on and gray sweats, a dispatcher warned the officers. When they got upstairs, they were confronted by Robinson. They warned him after seeing the sword. They are heard on the dispatch tape saying, "Back up." 12 seconds later, the officer radioed, shots fired, send me a squad." It's unclear exactly where the shooting happened, but one apartment down from Robinson's is blood from where he fell. Neighbor James Muhammad said he heard 3 to 4 gunshots. Some of Robinson's Facebook posts talk about finding Jesus and antics after drinking. Apartment full of swords. No one at the apartment was attacked, and who called 911 wanted to speak on camera. Officer Nolan Goodman, a 4-year veteran of the Mansfield Force, is on routine paid administrative leave. So I guess what we got to point, we just talked about police response time here, and something just jumped out at me on this article.
She called it 5:46 a.m.
She called it 5:46, we can highlight that, by windows being smashed, okay? The remnants of an apparent rampage littered the balcony where the shooting occurred hours later. So, as we talk about this here, she called it 5:46, and it was just after 6 a.m. that shots were fired. So, at least 15 minutes.
Yeah, at least 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, a guy with a sword rampaged around an apartment complex for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Before the police arrived. If that isn't a poster child for carrying your firearm everywhere you go, that's I can't think of a better one.
Yeah, exactly, and nothing, to not what I'm seeing is any fault of the officers. I mean, by the time you make the phone 911 call,
No.
it goes through dispatch. They get dispatched.
Right.
And especially this day and age when there's huge shortages in law enforcement in all kinds of municipalities. If a few officers are on the other side of town, by the time they come to the other side of town, it's always 10, 15 minutes have gone by.
Oh, absolutely, easy. And if they're busy over there with something that's car accident or something like that, it may be an hour before they get
there. And that's the other thing is you don't know. You don't know how many. They may be busy with a situation that could be just as deadly, really, on the other side of town. So
sure,
it's just
exactly.
food for thought on people for, like you said, make sure you're carry your gun.
Yeah, carry your gun.
Yeah, I don't
be proficient, carry it.
Yep.
Get training. Do all those things.
Yep.
On that note, Standard Ground Bill reintroduced in Ohio. Last year this was introduced, and if I do remember correctly, where did we get this? radio.wosu.org. So WOSU is where we got this article. So check out their website. Conservative Ohio lawmaker has reintroduced a stand your ground self-defense bill. I do believe this went through the legislature and then was vetoed by Governor Kasich and then sent back to the legislature and overrode, but a lot of it got stripped out of there. And that's where we got the change in
Burden of proof.
Yeah.
In a self-defense case last year. So, that was an increment forward. Let's see if this is going to, go anywhere. If you're not really familiar with what they call stand your ground laws, essentially it removes your duty to retreat before using force or deadly force in defense of yourself or another. And understand that's not that the prosecutor can't, make a case that you had the ability to retreat from the situation, but it removes your legal obligation to do so. Looks like in this article what we're worried about is Mike DeWine's proposing legislation to curb gun violence, including a version of a red flag gun seizure law. And every single gun bill that we have needs to be looked at carefully and closely. My bill, Stand Your Ground bill, doesn't focus on criminals. It focuses on law-abiding citizens. That's a really good quote.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because it's not criminals that are using these types of laws to protect themselves. It's law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and keep everybody updated on this particular bill and how it moves through the legislature, because it is kind of important. And, hopefully we get somewhere with that kind of stuff.
Hopefully we get another revision on our Attorney General's handbook.
Yeah, right. It just gets better every year. We just got to print less pages and less pages.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the part I like. I just got to have less computer work. So, let's move on to some terrible news here. This is ridiculous. I found this at the Free Thought Project. A social services worker was fired and escorted out by cops for having a concealed carry permit, but she didn't have the gun with her. She took to Facebook and Twitter and, let her social media followers know she was fired from her job at the Roanoke City Social Services in Virginia and escorted from the building by 3 police officers, not because she came to work with a gun, but because her employer learned that she had a concealed handgun license.
Wow.
Storm Durham claimed that she went from working as a damn good social worker to being escorted out by police officers who claimed she was a safety risk to the building. Her announcements on Twitter received more than 15,000 retweets and 20,000 likes. Durham posted a longer version on Facebook, which she wrote this, that the same department that claims to be devoted to protecting children and families fired her because they found out that she had applied for a license to protect herself when she was not at work. I was fired today due to having a concealed carry permit, Durham said. Was my gun on me? No. Has it ever been on me during my job or visits or anything related to work? No. When I told them that it has never been on me during work, what did they say? How do we know? Search. How do we know that? Search me, she said. Durham described herself as a 22-year-old blonde who is 5'2" and about 140 pounds who loves everything Disney, pink, and basic, and argued that she is clearly not a threat and did not pursue a concealed handgun license with the intention of carrying out illegal acts. So here's the gig, right? It's my opinion that probably social workers should have a handgun on them most of the time anyway. I mean, they're going into pretty nasty situations.
A lot of times very volatile situations.
Yeah, volatile situations. But as we're going to learn here in a minute, the state of Virginia has kind of flipped on its head the last few months.
Yes.
Sounds like. And, it's ridiculousness. That's like, I don't know if there's a comparison for that.
She
Fire
says-
her for getting the proper
She
license.
says a little further down in the article that her boss dragged her into his office and asked if she felt safe at home if there was any domestic violence because there was legally owned guns in the home that they found out.
Yeah.
Like,
Ain't none of your damn business whether I got
wow.
guns.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
That has to be some sort of discrimination.
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
gotta
expect
be-
that one to go to court.
yeah.
No
well,
doubt.
I would
Hopefully it does. Hopefully with the social media response, hopefully, hopefully we get one of these real good lawyers that comes in and says, yeah,
I'll take that.
we'll take care of this one.
Yeah. So
Constitutional lawyer be a good one to have on that.
something has got to give with that kind of crap. I know a lot of social workers, like if you want to foster kids or adopt kids, I mean, they pretty much run you through the ringer when it comes to your firearms. You can't even touch them. So
No.
on to Virginia again. We got this from law enforcement today. I heard about this,
A couple days ago anyway.
a couple days ago, and this is scary. Virginia bill to make firearms training an illegal paramilitary activity and a felony. Virginia legislators have clearly lost their minds. Couldn't have said it better myself. On this latest bill that was drafted and filed this month, which will be open to discussion come January 2020. So this hasn't passed yet. It hasn't been submitted yet. They just wrote it. This is, of course, in reference to Senate Bill number 64, or SB 64, as it may appear on various print or spoken discussions. Virginia has attempted to chip away the rights of citizens one small hammer stroke at a time. This bill is going to attempt to outlaw firearm training. We'll display the language used in the bill and get into dissecting how it may be perceived generally or even presented versus how it can be enacted. This is a really good article from Police One. The first portion of the bill goes as follows. A person is guilty of unlawful paramilitary activity punishable as a Class 5 felony if he, 1, teaches or demonstrates to any other person the use, application, or making of any firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons, knowing or having reason to know or intend that such training will be employed for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder. There's a bunch of commas in that sentence. And it's been my experience that every time there's a comma, that can be taken as an independent statement.
Well,
Yes,
and here's
absolutely.
the civil disorder. Civil disorder is perfectly legal. If we went down to City Hall right now and we stood there and protested something they were doing and we kept it completely civil and we weren't causing trouble and doing anything, and it was just a group of people that said, we disagree with you, and we came with a group and went to the town meeting and said,
Now they're going to make it a Class 5 felony.
That's, I mean, not to mention, I'm pretty sure Virginia you have to take a concealed handgun permit class to get your permit.
NRA's main headquarters is in
Virginia, in Fairfax.
Right.
Yeah, so this gets worse here. So this gets way worse. They might even say that this law can be used against Antifa, which it could, but is it going to be? Probably not. Talking heads will go on television hyping up this is a good measure. They're trying to criminalize people for training for acts related to domestic terrorism is what they're saying with this bill, but I don't believe them because I don't trust them. In this, he writes, that could be addressed already by Virginia law 18.2 through 46.5. So how can it be enforced? The most dangerous words in the proposal are knowing or having reason to know and in furtherance of. The reason being that his intent is no longer really required, leaving every gun range owner and employee susceptible to prosecution for simply doing business. It's plain as day why this language is the way it is, because with these key words, only loose connections need to be established to criminalize gun owners and enthusiasts.
Well, so exactly, like we sell parts enough, receivers and parts, so that you can assemble, a perfectly legally owned rifle. And the receivers serialized, they're entered in our book. Everything's done,
legally,
completely 100% legally,
according to federal law.
If the guy, theoretically by that, if the guy is asking questions about the assembly of it,
yeah,
we go to jail, and so does he.
We're in violation.
We're felons.
Furthermore, civil disorder is also quite a broad term as well to be concerned about, which is correct. They can charge you for civil disorder for about anything. Assembles with one or more persons for the purpose of training with, practicing with, or being instructed in the use of any firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons intending to employ such training for use in or in furtherance of a civil disorder, or assembles with one or more persons with the intent of intimidating any person or group of persons by drilling, parading, or marching with any firearm, explosive, incendiary device, or any other components combined thereof. So if we take a look at that
Number
on
3,
its own,
2A march.
2A marches are going to be considered acts of domestic terrorism.
Yeah, class 5 felony.
Not to
because
mention
we're
the
under
fact that
parade.
you are not going to have any type of military procession for fallen veterans, and you're not going to be able to fire a 21 gun salute at a cemetery for a veteran. You're not going to be able to salute a veteran at all.
This gets pretty.
It's just ridiculous.
Pretty wild.
This gets pretty. This is one of the
wild.
one of the most ridiculous bills I've ever seen come through.
And with all the rednecks in Virginia, they may have gone way too far with that one.
Well, I don't think it's even. I think they went too far. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That sounds unconstitutional.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So they go on to say Section 3 is the most unique part of the law, while Section 2 can be applied, such like Section 1 can. The third portion has the ability to criminalize open carry demonstrations and peaceful protests, just like we talked about.
Yep.
We saw last year in Washington, D.C., the March for Our Lives demonstration, which had a theme that was about banning guns, encountered some counter-protesters proudly displaying their Second Amendment rights and openly carrying. These few dozen individuals held what they called a patriot picket, and that pesky third portion of the proposed bill can send someone to jail for having a firearm on their person whilst attending a march. So, we got a little bit of opinion piece. I never quite understood the anti-gun movement. Guns seem to be the only object that gets blamed for murder when they're used for murder. No one tries to ban Hondas when someone strikes a pedestrian with one, which is kind of right. The people that hate them but don't stand to benefit from their ban or confiscation are only one thing: potential victims of crimes. So, yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
This is one of the most ridiculous bills I have ever seen come through any lawmaker anywhere. I just cannot understand how someone would even attempt to write something like this. It's such an obvious...
Well, they think they got all kinds of control now there. They flip the whole state blue. And, if they do get it past the legislature, with control of the legislature, and send it to the governor, he's going to sign it.
Maybe. I
So,
don't know. I guess we shall see.
yeah.
I think it's political suicide to sign anything like that, no matter what
absolutely.
color banner you're flying
Yeah,
under.
you
But
got that right.
so, last one for the night. This one's kind of sad. I do believe this is pronounced Anahuac. We got this from ABC 13. Authorities confirm an attack by wild pigs caused the death of a woman whose body was found in the front yard of an Anahuac home Sunday. Chambers County Sheriff Brian Hawthorne said in a press conference Monday afternoon the Jefferson County Medical Examiner's Office formally ruled the cause of death was exsanguination due to feral hog assault. We had suspected that Said Hawthorne, my detectives and criminal investigation team felt like that was what it was, but it was not something that we could even come close to announcing until we had the cause of death from the medical examiner's office. Chambers County Sheriff's Office said the body was discovered in the 400 block of State Highway 61. Woman was identified as 59-year-old Christine Rollins of Liberty. Authorities say Rollins was the caretaker of an elderly couple who lives in the home where her body was discovered. So I think that's the first fatal feral hog attack I've ever heard of.
Yeah, and that's not something that is probably going to be
televised.
No.
Yeah,
You know, I doubt that.
Yeah,
it'll happen again with all the feral hog problems they're having, everywhere. And I heard a while ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, that they've got a big feral hog problem up Montana and on the Canadian border.
really.
Yeah. So somehow they got up there, and they can live anywhere, and they're mean as hell.
Right.
So they will chase you down.
So, shooting tip. What do we got here?
Shooting tips. First one we got. Whenever, if God forbid, you get into a violent situation, and which is going to be ultra stressful, and the adrenaline is going to be rushing to your brain, and you need to be, of course, proficient with your firearm. But as you access that firearm and draw it, and if you have to reload and everything, all those steps should be second nature and just down to muscle memory rather than having to use your brain to think about anything, including pulling your shirt up, however you have been training to draw your gun from clothing. With being this time of year, you're probably going to have a coat on and stuff. You need to practice all of that, and sight picture, sight alignment, stuff like that, reload drills, the draw sequence in general, where you're drawing from. That's the big thing now, is you might be drawing from a different space on your body or from purse or wherever. But that needs to be second nature in your training. You train and train and train so that you don't think about it anymore. And, like we always say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent.
Yes.
And it has to be permanently ingrained in your psyche, in your mind, so that you don't even have to think about it. And so that's a pretty good thing to know and to practice, even if, inside now we're not getting out to the range much because it's cold, unless you got an indoor shooting range someplace. Practice dry fire, practice your draw, practice reload drills, sight alignment, sight picture. You can do it in your basement if you have a heated basement, and just make sure your gun's unloaded. Double, triple check it. Make sure you don't have any rounds in your gun, and you can practice all of that until it becomes second nature and you're comfortable with it. So,
yeah, I think practice is really about repetition.
yes,
Properly.
Perfect practice.
Absolutely. Perfect practice makes perfect execution. It makes permanent. So,
And when you're talking about, there's just so many different things that you can do dry.
Yeah.
Or if you're not comfortable going, doing dry fire, maybe make the investment and spend, the $8,500, buy one of the, buy a red gun or a blue gun.
Yeah. Right.
At least be able to do some of them things by like a SIRT pistol, one of the little laser SIRT pistols that you can, if you're going to do that, buy something that's of good quality that actually has a trigger and a mag release. If you're not comfortable with the whole.
Yeah, and even airsoft, they make some pretty realistic airsoft guns now that you can use, and if it's similar to what you carry,
at least do some of the dry practice.
Sure.
If you're uncomfortable with actually doing dry practice, but
right.
You should definitely do. There's a ton of things that you can do as dry practice that will just help you once you actually get out there and do live fire.
Exactly. The other training tip we got is draw fundamentals, and you should go over and over and over this. If you're at the range, access your handgun, then you go to grip, pull, rotate, and draw, extend, go to somewhere where the pistol is in your peripheral vision, extend, fire, and then assess. Not necessarily assess where you hit the target, assess your surroundings. You're actually breaking your concentration on the target so that you can access or assess your surroundings, and that breaks your concentration on the target also. So you have to go with a different sight picture and sight alignment. And then while you're back at retention ready, reholster drill. We see a lot of people who think that holstering and reholstering should be the same speed, and that is absolutely not the case. Reholstering, there's probably never going to be a time where you have to speed reholster your gun. So that should be looking into your holster at all times, because there's a lot of times you might be still surrounded by bad guys, or you still have a loaded gun in your hand.
Yeah,
you don't want to make a victim of yourself.
Yeah, there's so many things. Your shirt, if you've got a retention holster that's got
Right.
like a thumb brake, the flap can get in there. Your shirt,
Yeah.
Especially the whole thought of this is carry and conceal. You go through accessing your garment. Breaking your cover garment, clear your firearm, getting it way up and out of the way, clear, and still having to do that to go back in and just kind of looking at in the holster, make sure nothing's in the way.
Yep.
Yeah, t-shirt, rock sleeves, sticks, coat,
Dryer
pen.
Pens,
I mean,
yeah.
well, we've heard of it all.
Yeah.
Doing that to you.
Yeah. A lot of stuff can get in the way.
All right. So, product of the week. What do we got for product of the week?
New product?
Product of the week.
Product of the week.
Product of the week, I think. What do you got over there? A set of boots.
We got a pair of boots here. We're now carrying these. These are Roscoe insulated winter boot. Good, really good quality. Metal buckles here for the strings and everything. They're all riveted on. Good heavy duty sole. Slip resistant down in here. Plastic sole on the bottom, and then these are pretty much totally waterproof, I would think. Haven't worn them outside yet in the snow or the rain or anything. But
Yeah, I think the cold weather ones are. I think these are waterproof.
At least waterproof up to the tongue gusset.
right.
Yeah, right.
And they got
Exactly.
a tongue gusset. They got a tongue gusset all the way up to here, so that's
Yeah.
well above the ankle.
And they got kind of a thicker toe cap on them, so they should last a while.
Insulated.
I don't know about how you folks feel about it, but I wear boots out like they're going on style. I mean,
Yeah.
So I think these will last. I'm gonna try some.
When I hate cold, I hate having cold feet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, we got these in brown and black, several different sizes in the store, and if anybody can find a boot that this quality for about $50, I haven't seen any yet. I've been looking for a while and finally bought a pair of these or something similar because I couldn't find anything under about $90. But we got these for about $50. The other one we got here is a classic Sierra Soul combat boot. This is a size 11, I think, but we got these normally in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that. And these are 8-inch high, speed lace, everything you want in a combat boot. If you're a fan of combat boots, and good quality, all leather down the bottom, and then they have
Breathable nylon mesh on
breathable
top.
nylon top, and a cushion band on the top, And those are pretty nice too.
Yeah, they got a pretty heavy lug sole too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Right.
trudging around, through the woods,
It's
over
the right
that
time
river,
of year for this stuff.
well, everybody's going to grandma's house, so you gotta get over the river and through the woods.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Good quality. These are also about $50. Same thing. You can find these online. I was just looking the other day at a pair that was similar to this, except they were brown. And big sale on them, $79.99. So
Yeah.
an online retailer. We got them for $50. Okay.
Should be good. All right, so we're gonna head on over to our self-defense video, and I don't think you've seen this one yet, Corey, have you?
No, I have not.
All right, so this is going to be a tough one. This is one of the toughest ones that I have come up with to deal with. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a side view camera of a house. You'll see a couple perpetrators come down an alley, and they have obviously pre-planned this. Now here we go. A couple perpetrators come out around the corner. Two guys walking down the street. Now, as you can see, perpetrator number one pulls what looks to be a firearm out in a horrible grip and points it at the two guys walking down the sidewalk. And unfortunately, the two guys walking down the sidewalk, at this point in time, there isn't a whole heck of a lot that they can do other than be robbed. There is one instance where I think they could have done something, and the fella that is standing in the back nearest to the car and on your screen probably at this point in time has got a decent chance. If he's quick on his draw stroke, he could probably shoot past his buddy, but it's going to be dangerous. So we're going to go through here a little bit. And I think right there, the guy in the back has had the only opportunity just before he... We're going to back this up a little bit, see if we can back it up just a hair.
Right there.
Right there.
That was it.
Their sole focus is on the other guy.
Their sole focus is on the other guy. And now the opportunity switches, I do believe. If we play this through, look how the perpetrators now focus on the guy behind the man in front. So the problem is right now it's a very close proximity. So this is going to be a one-handed point. And obviously you're going for the guy with the gun first off. But
yep.
Any defense at this point in time is very, very dangerous and high likelihood of sustaining injury yourself.
Yeah.
So as we come through here, we see that the gun keeps being pointed and they go through his pockets. What scares me about this particular instance is if you get, dropped on like this and you're carrying a firearm, well, then guess what they've got? Two firearms.
Two firearms.
So,
right.
And then right here is another opportunity for the man in the front to probably deal with a situation, although
they just searched him.
So probably hasn't got anything left.
If he did have a gun on him, he doesn't anymore.
Right.
If he still did, it'd probably be in an ankle rig.
Right.
So as these perpetrators now walk down the sidewalk, these two guys nonchalantly decide they're heading on to do their business. Here's the problem. They come back. Don't return to the scene of the crime that you've just been a victim of. Call 911. I don't know what they're after, but there's something laying here on the sidewalk. It looks like they're going to stop and pick it up. Maybe look at it a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, but they stop right in front of it. And that's pretty much the end of the video. What do you think? That one's a tough one to swallow, isn't it?
That's really odd. That whole situation's pretty odd.
Seems like they know each other
Yeah, they seemed. I mean, them two guys. They came down the alley, and the other guys came down. They had to have been watching them
From somewhere.
from somewhere, unless they were just. I mean, unless they were hiding in the alley, and the other two guys were loud enough that they knew somebody was coming, and maybe that's what they were waiting for. You know, we don't full well know, but it almost seems like they had been watched for a while. Which, you know, if they had been watched for a while, that shows that the two guys that got robbed were not paying attention to any kind of their surroundings and not.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. The first thing I saw was, you know, you got these two guys in there walking pretty much side by side, and one's just a little bit behind. And if they'd have been paying attention and saw the first guy come around the corner, and first thing I'd have done if I was a guy in the back is I'd have stepped about 3 steps to the right.
Yeah, you create distance.
Some distance in there.
Yeah, I think that
was, him move.
Yeah, try and you know, maybe even try and get over, you know, get over towards, you know, the front end of that car that was sitting over there.
Yeah, that car is pretty much the car, and part of the porch post there, I think, is probably the only decent cover in the entire shot.
Sure. Right.
But the other thing is, you know, we talk about in defensive pistol, dark alleys and back places and stuff like that to really kind of stay clear of them. I understand that it looks like a residential neighborhood they're walking down through, and there's going to be gaps between the houses for people to pop in and out of there. But, I just don't know, is it such a wise idea? You know, it looks to be late. Maybe there was not a good reason to be out there. I mean, well, and the old adage, nothing ever happens after midnight that's any good. So, what, you know, what do you
maybe the other side of the street didn't have an alley, and maybe they should have just walked on the other side of the street.
Maybe.
Don't know. I mean, that's the thing. You know,
but once again, neither one of them were armed. Neither one of them had a plan. They didn't create any distance or time between them and their attackers. And not that anybody got hurt, but they got robbed. And they got a gun pointed in the face. So had they done something just a little bit off, then their attacker probably could have shot them, and there's nothing that they could have done about it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing they could have done about it.
Absolutely nothing.
Nope. Nothing.
And,
you know.
From that camera angle, as they nonchalantly walk away, it looks, I don't know if they got a lot from the guys, but it didn't seem like they were overly perturbed that they'd just been robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, and maybe they like a lot of other people, they don't carry any cash, so they didn't get anything. So.
Right. They don't carry cash or a wallet or ID or anything. You know?
Yeah, so
you know, there's a lot of stuff you don't know.
There could have been a ton of stuff that you could have done.
Right.
First one, avoidance, first off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You got anything to add, Corey?
No, that whole situation just seemed kind of odd. It almost seems as though all four know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the two that were standing there getting robbed were the ones that were doing the robbing last time around. Nobody knows.
You don't know. That's the thing. So.
Yeah. So new products. I don't have any pictures for new products. I'm going to go over here and see. Maybe we can find a picture of something and bring it out for you guys. But what we wanted to talk about is amongst all this new concealed carry pistol hype, we've had Springfield release a Hellcat, we've had G43Xs and G48s, Taurus G3s being released.
Right.
What did I say? The Springfield Hellcat. P365 XLs and all this other good stuff. And Springfield had released a 911, well, better than a year ago, in 380, kind of to compete with the SIG and the Kimber.
Yeah, 238s.
And we had saw an advertisement a while ago that said that some of the rebates that they were offering were not valid on 9mm pistols. And we thought, well, great, maybe they'll release a 9mm pistol in that 911 version, but we hadn't seen one in forever. Well, they had quietly released one, and they actually have like 4 models. They have one with G10 grips, night sights. They got one with a Hogue overmold grip and night sights, and they have one with a Crimson Trace laser grip on it.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get an email from them. We got all kinds of stuff about this Hellcat they're coming out. It's supposed to be the smallest 10-round subcompact that's out there.
Yeah.
There's 14 highest capacity.
Supposedly.
Yeah, one of the magazines is 14 rounds.
Right.
But, you know, I'm more excited about the 911 and 9mm than I am about
911 and 9mm. I mean, that's kind of a.
Yeah.
I mean,
might be kind of a sweet piece.
Well, you got to figure SIG's been selling 938s for years, and they've always been a really nice shooting gun.
Yeah, it's kind of 1911 style.
Yeah,
so
they carry well, they shoot well. It's hard to fault them. The only thing they got is the hammer and mechanical safety, so you got to practice with them. But I don't know.
Lots of recoil.
No, they're not terrible though. I mean, they're not.
They got enough weight that they're.
Yeah.
They're still snappy guns.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are snappy guns. Even the little 380s are snappy guns.
Yeah.
And you know, the XDS that I carry on a regular basis, it's pretty snappy for a 9mm.
Right.
I mean, it's not a slouch, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But the other cool one, and we kind of touched on this one a couple weeks ago, is a Heritage 16-inch 22 long rifle carbine, a revolving carbine.
That's kind of a sweet thing.
So yeah, Corey's sitting here smiling. He's going, yeah, there's going to be one of them in my gun safe. So I guess I'll just order 3 when they come in, huh?
Yeah, you might as well.
We got another guy who wants one. I'm sure he'll be happy to take one. I want one. Maybe they'll have a sale on a half a dozen, and we can get one free or something.
You get a case.
Yeah, buy in bulk.
Yeah, buy in bulk. Yeah. So anyway,
as long as they come in a wooden case.
We do have G3s in stock at the moment, which if you guys have checked out the PT 111 Millennium Pro, or they renamed it. It's a G2C now.
G2C. Yeah.
So now it's a G3, and it's essentially just a inflated G2C.
Yeah. About the same thing, 4-inch barrel instead of the 3.3 or
15-round magazine, flush fit, and a 17-round extended, which the 17-round extended kind of sticks down for the. I mean, you'd have to have some giant mitts to fill that one up, because the 15 is comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a sweet thing. I kind of like the sights better than the G2. The G2 had the adjustable sights on it, which was, that's kind of a nice feature.
I think the trigger's a little better than the G2 also.
But I kind of like the sights on the G3 a little better. They're just your standard 3-dot sight, but hopefully, I haven't looked, but hopefully the standard G2 night sights will fit. So
I'm sure. I think we got set in stock. We'll just have to wind them on there and see.
If they kind of stayed with the G2 platform, I'm sure it's been, we've been running ours for years now, and it just keeps, going and going and going and going. And there's, several other videos out there of guys just hammering on them, and they keep going and going and going. So, I think they got a good thing going with that, with that platform. So
I kind of feel sorry for our G2C at the moment. I mean, it's taken a beating. It's been whipped on pretty hard. We're gonna have to get Corey to clean that one of these days.
Yeah, I'll sit down and have a cleaning day with all of them.
Yeah, you might need a pressure washer for that one.
He's gonna have to take a vacation day, be at it a while.
He's got time up.
So we had some sound issues at the beginning of the video. I'm gonna kind of put that in the description for everybody tonight. So I wanted to go over real quick the first part of what we were trying to get out before I screwed up and didn't unmute the microphone. You guys can blame that one on me. So classes, upcoming classes, 12:15's concealed carry. Starts at 8 o'clock here at our training center, 113 North Market. 1:18 is a concealed carry. 1:19 is pistol fundamentals. It's going to delve a little farther into pistol craft, some draw stroke work, accuracy work, multiple target work. So that's going to kind of be a step up from your standard concealed carry class. It's kind of in between defensive pistol and concealed carry. So if you're wanting to get a little better at your pistol craft, but don't think you're quite ready for a defensive pistol, fundamentals is a good class for you. And then February 22nd, 23rd, we have defensive pistol. That's a 2-day. That's going to delve very far into defensive pistol craft and movement and cover and all the things that go along with that. We wanted to mention that all of our winter classes are going to be shot at the indoor range, so we're going to be out freezing our tails off. Now, defensive pistol's got some stuff that we probably are going to have to run outside, but we'll still have a warm place where we can kind of cycle in and out. We're not going to have to freeze to death out there.
Yeah.
Don't have much going down to Minerva Sportsmans Club for shooting events, but Brown Township's got some Lucky X and Circle X stuff coming up.
Yep.
Once a month, right?
Yep.
So check out their Facebook page and their website for their schedule of events. What else did we miss during the sound? I think that was about it.
That was about it.
One news article got kind of goofy, but I don't think we're gonna go back and cover that. I'll update the description to say that sound gets kind of goofy.
Yeah. Don't forget, tomorrow's Small Business Saturday. Come out and support your local small business. We got some stuff in here. It's still on sale from today. Mossberg MC1 single stack 9 for $310. G2S here, $180. Lower receivers, AR-15 receivers are $50, and we got a 10.5 inch ballistic advantage barrel for $150. Got some other stuff going on tomorrow, coffee and cookies and things like that. But good way to come out and support your local business.
Yeah, we always have a good time, Small Business Saturday. That's what we got. We're a little shy of our hour show, but I think being that everybody ate too much for Thanksgiving yesterday, and most people were up early trying to do their shopping this morning, I think we can probably call that.
Yep.
So, once again, thanks everybody for stopping by. Appreciate everybody who listens to the show. The show is brought to you by Sphons CCW, This and That Distribution, and the Minerva Sportsmans Club.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, share the video if you like the content. Once again, if you got shooting events that you want to get out there, then send it to us. SphonsCCW@gmail.com. If you have a video that you want our opinion on, drop us an email, send us a line somewhere. SphonsCCW.com or SphonsCCW@gmail. You can hit us up on our Facebook page, YouTube page, wherever. Send a courier pigeon. We don't care. It doesn't matter. In any event. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And just to let everybody know, there will not be a show next Friday because more than half of the family is going to be down in South Carolina seeing Emily graduate from boot camp. And I think
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah. So we're going to be a little short-handed next week, so no show next week. We'll resume the week after, and hopefully nothing crazy happens between then and now. So anyway, thanks for joining us, guys, and have a good night.